Here at Sensible Woo, we are focusing on creating really great content with strong systems. So it's content production with a twist of business magic. And if you want to do some of that with me today and uncover what I think is the number one secret to creating really great content and staying highly motivated in your own business at the same time, then you should stick with me here. Those of you who hang out with me regularly here on my YouTube channel have been seeing a big push on content about content production. So it's a little meta, but it definitely is something we need to do. Here's the basis for everything if you are working with me. I am a librarian by trade. I have my Master's of Science in Information from the University of Michigan. Hello to all my fellow Wolverines out there. And as a trained professional librarian who has spent years being a corporate librarian in entertainment and then a public librarian as a technology director, I can tell you that the ability to process large amounts of information is a genuine skill that you can learn. You do not have to go get a master's degree to go do it, and it will help you in your business to get the gold mine of information that is freely available to everybody out there. But the thing that is holding you back from getting access to that information is that you're saying things that I hear frequently from my clients. You can raise your hand if this is you too. And it starts with this: it's too much information. I'm so overwhelmed. Or maybe you sound like, I have too much to do. There is no way that I am going to pay attention to all the information. It's too much. Or maybe you sound like, well, such and such influencer told me that I should just pay someone else to do everything. So I'm gonna hire a virtual assistant who does not have the same motivation or strategy brain as myself, and I'm gonna pay them to do the work that I don't feel like doing because I'm intimidated by it. Those are the internal thoughts that go through your mind. And honestly, they're pretty valid. The world is full of information. It is a lot, but also there are systematic tricks and tools you can use in your business and also in your brain. So when I say you are your best system, and that is the foundation of all the systems in your business, that is what we talk about around here. Of all the people I meet and coach who say that they want to create better content, they want it to be more engaging, they want it to be more entertaining, they want to increase the engagement and the conversions into sales from the people who pay attention to their stuff. Well, in order to do that, how do you think you get there? It's not magic. It's also not found buying someone else's formula, which, newsflash, will not work for you out of the box. You're gonna have to customize everything. All of the solutions to these problems are found in a handy dandy tool called market research, which you probably don't really want to hear those words if you have been in the business space a long time, because you're like, oh, you want me to go look more things up? And the answer is yes. You're going to be subscribing to a lot of things, and you're going to build in some very simple systems that allow you to digest this information the way a librarian would. So I'll give you a little insight to the library world. If you have not gotten your public library card, or it's been a hot minute since you've used it and gone inside the library, I encourage you to go. Make it a fun trip out with your biz besties. Go have brunch, go to the library, get your cards if you don't have them already. And this is your challenge. You're going to go to the reference desk and you're going to say, I would like to ask a reference question. I need help finding a resource. And you're going to experience what it's like to have a librarian lead you through what's called a reference interview. I have a whole bunch of old videos on this channel from way back in the day when I used to do a lot of free webinars and whatnot. And one of them is called Think Like a Librarian. You can go binge that material whenever you want if you really get into this particular topic. But basically, librarians will lead you through a series of questions, and it is an awful lot like coaching. Isn't that curious? So librarians are, generally speaking, some of the most non-judgmental people. We get master's degrees, graduate degrees in the art of not judging people. We are champions of the freedom for information and being able to find the information you need to get to the next step on your path. And so whatever that is, because we can't crawl into your brain and figure that out, we're going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. I'm going to do that with you here on this video so that you can start getting an idea of what it's like to dig inside your own brain if you don't have a librarian or me as your coach in front of you. If you've ever done the 5 whys in a coaching container, you will see that there are a lot of similarities when it comes to getting a reference interview with an information professional. So whether it's the 5 whys or you're at the reference desk at your local library, you can do this with yourself. So let's say inside of your business, you want to figure out what are some of the most trendy or appealing ways that other customers are being attracted into somebody else's opt-in offer. How do they do that so easily? What's happening there? And you can start to ask yourself questions. And it's like, well, who are you looking at right now? So we get a little baseline. Where's the anchor point? After that, you can say, well, have you tried opting into their opt-in to actually go through the process and pay attention and see what actually happens inside there? As you dig into these questions, you will very quickly discover how deeply are you participating in the question in question. Are you just looking at everything from the outside, or are you actually getting into the ring as a business owner and you're actually subscribing to those things and you're reading them and you're watching the videos, you're attending their webinars, you're actually reading their sales emails? Are you actually doing this? And if the answer turns out to be no, it's okay. You're totally normal. Not everybody wants to be bombarded with a ton of information from other people that you didn't ask for. But if you are seeking the answer to a question and you know that there are creators out there who are doing things that have the answers in full demonstration view for you, my question for you, if I was sitting across a reference desk from you, would be, why don't you want to engage in that material? Is there something about it that goes against your sensibilities? Is there something about it that doesn't feel right to you? Is there something about it that makes you feel unsafe? Because if the answer to that is yes, then your question is not the original question that you asked. And for that, I've got another old video on here that you can watch called Ask Better Questions, Get Better Answers. It's a really old signature talk that I used to give everywhere at conferences and everything. And you can watch it for free here on YouTube. It's super easy and it will guide you through the process of figuring out, what am I actually asking here? So let's bring this back full circle all the way into content creation, which is what we're talking about for online business owners. If you want to create great content, you have to also be a great consumer of content. The author Stephen King has a very famous quote, and he said, "To be a good writer, one must read a lot and write a lot." So if you want to be a great content marketer in your business, you must consume a lot of content and also create a lot of content. You do not get good at producing content by staying on the outskirts and never diving fully into the ring and really going for it. If you find yourself dreaming up visions and never taking action, and you're also wondering how come nothing's happening, this is the reason why. Here's the other really big secret about this, and it's really not a secret, it's just logic. You will never stand out from the crowd and be different or unique or pop in your industry if you don't truly know what makes anything different from the mainstream messaging that's already happening inside of your industry. So in order to figure that out, in order to figure out your unique positioning in the market, you have to start by consuming what is in the market. I like to think of this in terms of developing a muscular strength. So when I was going through library school, I already really loved consuming content. You will find a lot of other people who love information. They read a lot, they watch a lot, they listen a lot, and it's just sort of something that they naturally do. But that doesn't necessarily apply to everybody, and it doesn't have to necessarily apply to you either. It might not be the most natural thing to you, and it doesn't have to become the thing you love to do, but developing the muscular strength to handle the volume of content is a skill that can be learned, and it is a skill that you need to develop. So here are some beginner questions to get you started on this. The first one is, do you struggle to be seen easily? Like, is it hard for you to be in front of people and have them see you and witness you? The question for you that you want to ask yourself is, how much do you easily witness other people? Do you really see them, or do you just kind of ignore them and pretend like you see them, but you're really not paying attention? Because that would indicate that the first thing you do before you create any piece of content is that you get really good at actually witnessing and seeing someone else do something really well. The next super common one I hear from my client list is this question: do you struggle to understand what your audience really, really wants, what your clients really want, so that they'll buy the offer that you're offering? The question you want to ask yourself when this shows up in your business life is, how much do you actually pay attention and observe what is right in front of you? You do not need to go on some giant mythic quest to go find the answer to these things. You do not need to buy another offer to figure this out. You do not need to exhaust yourself going to 1,000,001 networking groups to figure this out. The answer is within you. Have you actually paid attention to what is going on around you, what people are doing, or do you kind of ignore it, or only pay attention halfway through? Or let's say somebody invited you to a private session and you end up multitasking with the camera off and you're not really fully engaged. There is so much data in front of you as a business owner. It really blows my mind how many times people just sort of half pay attention or ignore it. And the answer was literally delivered to them in 30 minutes or less. And they're like, I still don't know why I'm having this problem. I don't know why I don't have the data that I'm looking for. And the data was actually presented to them. Usually people come to me with this question, which is, do you struggle producing your content regularly? They think that, oh, my content's the problem. I can't produce things regularly. And that is part of the equation. But as we have determined already, it is just part of the equation. And so this is the question where you want to ask yourself, how much do you pay attention and subscribe to other people's regularly produced content? I've got a really handy cheat sheet that you can use. The opt-in will be in a link below this video, so you can opt in for free and grab that page. You can use the suggestions that I have in there to help you comprehend more of this regularly produced content. No one is holding anything back from you. When you hear those really big celebrity entrepreneur types and they're like, I learned everything for free on the internet. I just Googled it. I just YouTubed it. Part of that is actually really, really true. And what I'm finding from the entrepreneurs I work with who frequently say, I feel super overwhelmed. I'm overloaded. It's so much information. I am exhausted. I can't pay attention to one more thing. They're usually just sort of letting everything hit them in the face instead of controlling the way in which you engage with the content, which is a big mindset lesson that I teach around Sensible Woo. This is when all the boring technical stuff comes into play. So in the course of your business, you will use things like Gmail, and Gmail comes with some amazing functions, and I teach all of it in that free cheat sheet in the link below this video, so go grab that. But I will teach you how to create filters and how to filter your email so that you can function better in your inbox. It is obnoxious to me how many people don't use these tools, and it's just a giant bucket of collected stuff. And then you wonder, well, how come I'm having such a hard time making sense of all the communications that come into my business? I've seen people avoid doing too many connection calls with other collaborators because the inbox is overwhelming to them and they don't even want to go and do that. The email inbox is probably the number one place that I see people get stuck in their systems of their business. It starts with you. You have to believe that you can be in control of that inbox inbox and trust that your technology can be set up right and that you can use the tools, but empower yourself to do it. Make peace with your inbox, which is the number one place you want to make peace with, because social platforms are going to come and go to the end of time. We're on YouTube right now. It's going really strong right now. It's been going strong for a while, but who knows? Someday in the future, something new is going to come in and this will become old. Raise your hand if you remember when Facebook was the hot thing. It ain't hot anymore. It is still heavily and widely used, but it is not the platform anymore. So you don't want to park all your people on these platforms. There's a reason why I have an opt-in for this video. I would like to get you off of this video into my emails, because in the emails, if I decide to leave YouTube one day or YouTube changes its rules and I don't like it, at least I can still communicate with you instead of only through this medium. This type of thinking is systems thinking, and it is the type of thinking when it comes to your content that you need to be aware of, because you can observe other people with really large audiences and you're like, oh man, I wish I had all those followers. And when you really pay attention to what they're doing, it's amazing how many times you realize this person doesn't own their list. What happens if Instagram decides to become a paid-only platform and they lose all their subscribers overnight? What happens if another bait and switch happens, like when Facebook decided to change the algorithm back in the day and you had to start paying in order for your fans of your page to see anything that you were offering them? It could happen again. It will happen again, guaranteed. Here in the United States, there's a lot of things up in the air around TikTok. There was a lot of people making a lot of money off of TikTok. Ride that wave if that's what you're doing. But what happens if TikTok does end up being banned in the United States? What would you do if you didn't have access to those tens of thousands of followers who are buying products from you? So mastering your email inbox is the major part of this. The next part of it is being able to subscribe and having a regular schedule of consuming content. So instead of scrolling all day, every day, or task switching constantly, bouncing from one thing to the next all day, you're going to batch how you consume your content. And batching is just a really fancy term for doing all the same things together at the same time and then leaving it alone and then coming back at the same regularly scheduled time each week to review it again. The overwhelm that you feel when you get into Instagram or LinkedIn or your email is that you're probably taking everything in one grain at a time. That is how systems actually operate inside of your business. And when you can master the consumption of your content, you are going to start producing content in a totally different mindset and at a level that you will notice other people are not coming anywhere near close to you on. So I'm going to leave you with a question that is on the cheat sheet so that you can do some reflections and get started now. And that question is, who are your inspiration sources? I always say you should be able to list a good dozen of them, maybe more, without having to think too hard. If you have to sit there and go, well, I don't know, then the answer is, boo, you need to get out there and you need to go find some people you like following. The people that you really love to follow who give you great inspiration for your business may have nothing to do with your business at all. In fact, I would say even better, if they have nothing to do with your business at all, you will find yourself more engaged, you will find yourself more inspired, and you will have way more creative solutions for what you want to do with your audience compared to everyone else who's operating in the echo chamber of your industry. If you find yourself at this point really stuck, my answer for you as a librarian is go to your local library, have a conversation with the reference librarian at the desk. Don't be intimidated. They're there to help you, and tell them the question is, I'm a small business owner. Here's who I serve and what I offer. I'm fresh out of inspiration and I don't know what I like. can you recommend any magazines or books that I could check out today so that I can just go get inspired again and maybe find some creative solutions? And then that librarian will start to ask you a series of questions, and you can do something fun. I'm a big fan right now that you do not need another business book. I think fiction is a great source for this. Maybe it's a crafting magazine that you end up checking out. Maybe it's the new romantic-y, spicy fiction that everyone is reading about on Book Talk. Whatever it is, you've got to find something that gets you excited about content again. Otherwise, you're not going to find the joy in your own content, and then you're not going to get your message out into the world, because you deserve to find your dream clients and make a good living and not struggle so hard all the time. But it starts with these mindset checks, and it starts with some really simple systems, starting with you and then utilizing the tools that are already at your fingertips and not buying another thing because you don't need it right now. And all you have to do is just opt in for free through that form below my video. Here's where we part. I'm going to see you inside of your inbox because you're going to opt into that cheat sheet below this video. Once you see this data, you cannot unsee it. And you're going to be like, why is nobody else paying attention? I feel like that regularly. And in my business groups, we love talking about these things. So maybe you can find some biz besties to do this experiment with you. All of you opt in. I will see you in your inbox, and I will also see you back here next week. Have fun creating your content. I cannot wait to hear your voices out in the world. Remember to be sensible, be woo, and always be you.